Hello, everyone, and welcome to the session of Architecton. Some housekeeping rules to ensure that your microphone is muted. Asking all questions via chat. This session will be recorded and treat everyone with respect. I am Chikune Praise, and I'll be your host. So to participate, do take a screenshot and share on your various platforms. Also, you can introduce yourself on the chat and then tell us where you're viewing from. For those who don't know about us, Architecton is building a vibrant community of innovators and builders from underrepresented groups. With a unique blend of tech skills and business acumen, we are on a mission to bridge the skills gap, and address the shortage of tech talent in affected regions. On today's agenda, we'll have a welcome address, presentation by the speaker, a question and answer session, and of course, a closing remark. Do welcome. Join me as I hand over the virtual mic on today's session on product ownership and project management, Wafa Adami. Hello,
Hi,
Wafa.
everyone. Thank you. First of all, I want to thank Architecton for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here amongst you all, especially talking about a project that I'm very passionate about, which is product ownership and project management. Today's topic is going to be something that I think we are all familiar about, but maybe we don't have all the details, or maybe don't have all the background about it. So today's topic is going to be about product ownerships and project management, and harnessing data-driven strategies in product development and project management to unlock the success through clear communication, scope management, and risk mitigation. So here I just want to share my screen and do a little section about me, just to introduce myself. So a little about me is I'm a dynamic and result-driven product owner with a passion for leveraging technology to drive innovation and solve complex challenges. I have experience in managing projects and products across diverse industries, including EdTech and SaaS products. I also excel at facilitating communication between technical and non-technical teams, as well as stakeholders, and ensuring that projects meet their goals and objectives. My current, you could say, expertise lies in data coordination, agile methodologies, and project management, which has allowed me to drive successful product development and contribute to the growth of the many organizations I contribute to. So I would say my introduction to tech has been a little non-traditional. I started off as a journalist with a master's in journalism, and I did that for a couple of years, writing the international news column for a local newspaper here in Algeria. And before I even knew it, I was interested in the world of tech by project management and product ownership. So I was recruited into a fintech company, where I was introduced to product ownership by my mentor, which introduced me to the concept of what is a product owner, which is a product ownership, and how to manage products successfully. Next up, I want to talk about maybe our agenda or overview of our presentation today. So I try to make this short on you guys, not too heavy or technical, just so we can all be on the same page. I think my motto in explaining technical subjects is the more simple you present it, the better, because not everyone has the technical expertise to get what you're saying, so you should simplify it as much as possible. So I divided our presentation today into, you could say, 5 sections. The first section will be the power of data-driven decision-making, understanding why data-driven decisions matter, the types of data in product development, and collecting and analyzing data. The second section is agile and data-driven product ownership. We're going to have an overview of the agile methodologies, the role of a product owner in agile, using data to prioritize features. Our third section is about clear communication and scope management. So we're going to be talking about the importance of communication in agile teams, managing scope creep with data. And in the fourth section, which you could say is the last technical section, is mitigating risks with data-driven approaches. So here we're going to tackle identifying project risks using data, risk mitigation strategies, and then we're going to have a small case study with data-driven success stories. Our last section is going to be just a conclusion of all the points that we have talked about and a small Q&A session. So the first section is the power of data-driven decision-making and why data-driven decisions matter. In the realm of product ownerships and product management, data-driven decisions are paramount because they serve us as the compass, you could say, in guiding our journey. And here's why they matter. Informed choices are the best choices. You can't make a choice as a product owner or a product manager without having the information or the expertise to back up your choice. So data empowers us to do that by making informed choices. As product owners, this means selecting features, enhancement, or changes that align precisely with the customer needs and project objectives. It also gives us a competitive edge. So in a competitive landscape, the ability to make data-driven decisions can give us a significant edge, which enables us to respond swiftly to market shifts, outperform competitors, and keep projects on track. And the last point here is customer-centric focus. So data helps us by keeping our vision customer-centric, tunneled or focused. So by understanding the user behavior and presence, we can refine products and ensure they meet and exceed customer expectations. The second point here is the types of data in product development. So as a product owner, you're going to be tackling a lot of types of data, and you will need to know how to identify each type of data so you can use it in maybe crafting your backlog, and how you communicate with your stakeholders, how you communicate with your technical team, and using this data is very important. So in the realm of product development, various types of data are invaluable resources that product owners can leverage to make informed decisions and drive project success. Understanding these types of data is pivotal for product owners. It allows you to make decisions that not only enhance your product, but also align with your organization's strategic objectives. Additionally, in project management, decisions should be data-informed, ensuring that projects are executed efficiently and effectively in line with the product development goals. So here, what I like to say is you might hear a lot in the project management and product ownership realm that you can go with your gut. And while that's can be true in some cases, I mean, as a product owner, you do make a lot of decisions based on your gut, how you feel about your product, how you feel about your features, and how you feel about the decision after you had some discussions maybe with your stakeholders or your technical team and how things should be operated. But also, as a product owner, you should be also thinking about how you are there to represent the customer. So you are the sound of the customer in the whole development process, or how the product gets built. And as one user, because as a product owner, you should be a direct user of your service or your product, you can be making the one solely decision based on just how you like things. So maybe I can like a certain feature in an app, say for example, but comes the next person and they like to use the feature in a different way, or they like the UX design to be a little different. So that's how we use data in a product development. So we gather the data via various tools. So we can maybe use A/B testing. We can have a sample of potential customers use our products and then gather the feedback. And using those tools and data, you can make maybe an informed choice of how your product will look like. So here I'm going to talk about I would say maybe 6 or 5 different types of data in product development. The first type is going to be customer data, which is the type I was talking about earlier. Customer data has a relevance to product ownership in a way that, as a product owner, understanding your customer base is paramount. Customer data includes demographics, preference, buying behavior, and pain points. So here we're going to go on each point a little bit more, maybe in detail. Demographics means the type of person that is using your product or service, or the type of person that you're aiming for. Say you want to launch maybe a social media app, say maybe the next Facebook or the next TikTok, and you want your app to be demonstrated or used by Gen Z. So you have a demographic, and you can say male and female, around the ages of maybe 16 or 13 towards 25, and that's your demographic. And then you can get into more specifics. So maybe where the demographic is going to be living, what they do, and what they like. Preferences include what they like and what they don't like. Buying behaviors, so maybe how they consume products and services, and the major pain points. Pain points here refers to the major difficulties they have with the existing products that are already in market. And next, we're going to be talking about how this type of data, which is customer data, ties into project management. This data aids in feature prioritization and project planning. For instance, knowing which customer segments are more active can guide resource allocation and project timelines. So as a project manager, you're going to be more responsible towards the planning side of things. So you're going to be communicating with your stakeholders and your technical team to build the backlog, to build maybe how your sprint is going to look like, and to allocate the different resources. So maybe you have a budget and you need to stick to the budget, and to do so, you have to use this kind of data to plan accordingly. The next type of data is market data, which is one of the most important data that we deal with as product owners. Market data means all of the data that's available on the current market and the products and services that are already out. So before even you start a project, or maybe you're presented with an idea of a product by your stakeholder, you're going to do some market research, which means going to the market. Maybe, like we said, I'm going to go with the example that we used earlier, which is the social media app. You're going to go to your market and you're going to do some research. What kind of apps are already out there? What kinds are the most successful? And what are they doing to be successful? So market data is relevant to a product owner because they need to position their products efficiently in the market. Market data encompasses industry trends, competitor analysis, and market dynamics, so how the market operates. And it ties into project management by understanding the competitive landscape, influence product roadmaps. So as we talked about, you're going to be planning your sprints, or here, for people who aren't aware of what a sprint is more like a timeline that you have with your technical team to execute a product or feature. So this market data is going to be influencing your product roadmap. It's also going to be influencing your project strategies, as well as project managers can use market data to set maybe realistic project goals based on market conditions. The next type of data that we're going to be talking about is user behavior data, which is something I think you're all maybe familiar with, as we are all users of products and services. So this user behavior data is relevant to product ownership, because as a product, your product success hinges on user engagement and satisfaction. So you can launch your product, but if the feedback from the customer isn't as expected or isn't matching your expectations, your project could be deemed as failed. So the product success hinges on user engagement and satisfaction. User behavior and data tracks how users interact with your product, such as click-through rates. So how many times your users are clicking on your product. If your product maybe is a SaaS product, so you have a website, and the product and the client is clicking through your tabs. Time spent, so how much time are they spending on using your product, and feature usage. And this ties also into project management as follows. So user behavior data informs product improvement decisions. Decisions, and data informs I think this ties into our previous point, which is your client or your potential customer isn't going to use your product if they don't like how it looks, how it operates. So you could say all of this kind of data ties into one another. For example, if a user frequently drops off at a particular step, this insight can trigger a project to enhance that part of the user journey. So you're noticing that your client is maybe stopping at the login page, and there you can notice or make a note that maybe your login process is too complicated and maybe it's not as efficient as it should be. So that can turn into a whole different project by itself, and you can dedicate maybe a sprint or two for it, so you can reformulate how your login page looks. The next two types of data that we are going to be talking about is performance data. Performance data is relevant to a product owner because they need to ensure their products meet performance standards. And performance data includes metrics like load times, error rates, and system uptime. And here, when we talk about performance data, is the kind of data that you collect after a product is maybe launched. So maybe in the initial phase after your product and project launches, you can take the time to measure this data. So how many times your product, or maybe we're going to go with the same example as earlier, the similar app that's similar to TikTok. So maybe you launch the app and you notice that the app crashes multiple times. That should be a project in itself, and the data will pick that up. So you notice that your code maybe is not working correctly, and maybe you have something in the backend that needs to be fixed. So you need to go back with your technical team and revise that based on the performance data. And how it ties into project management, it ties into how product data drives technical decisions in project management. So if performance metrics fall below acceptance or acceptable levels, it may trigger a project aimed at optimization or bug fixes. I would say this is maybe the last, the feedback and support data. I think the name is clear enough. So this kind of data is the data that you receive after your product launches, and you gather some feedback via maybe traditional tools like calling your customers by phone, maybe leaving a box in your website so customers can leave their feedback, or even doing some Mixpanel, which gathers the feedback for you. So this is relevant to a product owner, as customer feedback and support interactions provide qualitative data. They highlight specific user issues, requests, and pain points that you can go back always and refer back to and try to fix. And this ties also into project management by the following, because feedback and support data can directly influence product features and enhancements. And project managers may initiate projects based on their current support issues to improve overall product quality. Perfect. So I think we're okay. I think we have one last type of data. I mean, this could go on more than 1 hour because the types of data is really broad. We can go into more specific types within each category, but here I'm highlighting the main types of data that you as a product owner, maybe someone who's a beginner who's trying to be a product owner, you should have a knowledge of these maybe 6 or 7 types of data that you're going to use to maybe plan your backlog, how you're going to measure your metrics, how you're going to measure your OKRs and stuff. So here our final type is financial data. This is relevant to a product owner because financial data includes the revenue, the cost, and profitability metrics. Product owners need to align with product strategies with financial goals. So if you have a set budget in mind, you don't have to exceed that budget into when you execute your projects, and you need to keep in mind that your ROA, which is return on investment, is also always like measuring up and is almost at, if not level, it's succeeding or more than what you're spent on your project. So your revenue always needs to be higher than your investments. And this ties into project management as follows. So financial data informs resources allocations, decisions in project management. Project managers can use budgetary information to plan project scopes and timeline efficiencies. Perfect. And here we're going to be talking about the second point, which is collecting and analyzing data. So in product development and project management, The effective collection and analysis of data are fundamental processes that enable informed decision-making. Here we're going to take a closer look at how this process is crucial in your role as a product owner and in managing projects. So we're going to be talking about 6 main points, which is how we are collecting this data, what type of data that we are looking for, so the data quality, because you need to have, I would say, standards. You need to treat your data as something that you pick up with standards. You have to have standards in mind. So you pick the best data that is out there and that you can use afterwards in your analysis process. We're going to be talking about the iterative process, data analysis and visualization and reporting, and also how we make data-driven decisions and some examples of that. Perfect. So the first point is going to be data collection. So how we use or collect this data. So as a product owner, you are responsible for ensuring that relevant data is collected, and this may involve setting up mechanism to gather user feedback, monitoring product usage, and conducting surveys or interviews. And this is something that we talked about earlier, which is how you're going to gather your data. So maybe if this is a product that's completely new to the market, so you need to do your analysis of the market. You need to see what's out there. And then you can set up a small pool of interviews with maybe some potential customers that are matching your demographic. And you can talk to them via maybe just regular interviews, in person or online, or maybe just traditional surveys. You can also use some newer channels like maybe Google Forms. You can use some specific websites that are meant to do the following, which is collect this data. And as for project managers, in project management, data collection includes tracking project progress, resource allocation, and budget expenditures. Project managers may use project management tools and software to collect real-time data on tasks and milestones. Here we're going to be talking about the data quality, which is something I referred back to earlier. So as a product owner, data quality is paramount in product development. Inaccurate or incomplete data can lead to misguided decisions. Product owners should establish data validation processes and ensure that the data collected is reliable. So you can't, like I mentioned, you can't go with any data that you have. You need to make sure that it meets a certain criteria and that it can be usable in your planning. In project management, data quality ensures that the information used for decision-making is accurate. Project managers should verify the integrity of data related to project timelines, resources availability, and costs. And here I would say the process is similar in project management and product ownership. Then maybe the sole difference between the two processes is in project management, you may have some past projects that you can reflect on, and you can have the metrics that stand for those projects, and you can use them to compare and make an analysis of your current project. The next step would be the data analysis. So as a product owner, analyzing customer data. So you have the data, you have collected it, and now you have to analyze it. So you need to take the time to pick it apart, to really understand the data and the feedback that you have gathered and how you're going to use it. So analyzing customer data, user behavior data, and feedback is vital. Tools like data analytic platforms can help you derive meaningful insights, and this analysis informs feature prioritization and product roadmap decisions. For the case of project managers, data analysis in project management involves evaluating project performance metrics, identifying bottlenecks, which is here I'm going to explain what a bottleneck is. So in a project, you may be reaching a certain point where your workflow or your process is smooth, and then you reach a stop, a dead end stop. That we call a bottleneck. So there you can stop and maybe do some thinking of why your process isn't as smooth as you envisioned, or you wrote maybe in your product description or your planning. You need to identify the issue, and the issue here is called a bottleneck, and predicting potential risks. So in project managers, use data analysis to make informed adjustment to project plans. The next step in using our data in product ownership and project management is visualization and reporting. And this one is very important. So for you out there, for anyone who's interested in becoming either a product owner or a project manager, they need to understand and maybe get some hands-on practice in how you can visualize this data and report it, because that's the main task maybe that you will be doing, especially with stakeholders. You will be gathering this data, analyzing it, then making it into a readable and easy to understand form for your stakeholders. And when I refer to stakeholders here, I'm referring to maybe your management, your CEO, your boss, your manager, or anyone that's going to be overseeing this project and have some maybe stakes in the project. So as a product owner, data visualization tools can help you present insights clearly to stakeholders. Visual reports can be used to demonstrate user trends, feature adoption rates, and the impact of product changes. Project managers use data visualization tools to provide stakeholders with a clear overview of project status, resource utilization and progress, and visual dashboards help stakeholders understand complex project data at a glance. And here, when we talk about these kind of tools, it could be simple as maybe some tables that you can draw by hand, and it can be complex as maybe using Mixpanel or some complex Google Sheet template that you use to demonstrate how the data looks like and how you're going to present it to your stakeholders. The next step in our workflow here is understanding what an iterative process here. So as a product owner, you need to stress the importance of data collection and analysis as an iterative process. An iteration means in steps. So we use these data in continuous steps that follow one another, so you can reach the end goal. Continuously gathering and analyzing data to adapt your product strategies as user needs and market conditions evolve. As a project managers, your data should be constantly monitored throughout the project lifecycle, and this allows the project managers to make real-time adjustments, ensuring that the project stays on track. So you're following your timeline here. Here, we're going to be talking about some data-driven examples. So for example, here, I'm going to pull some examples from my own personal use as a product owner. So I had some experience working with projects in the fintech field, as well as in the no-code tools field. So I used to work in a company where we created websites and platforms using no-code tools. And one of the main projects that we worked on before was building a platform filled with courses on these no-code tools. So maybe someone in the audience or in attendance is familiar with these kind of tools, such as maybe Make, Webflow, or Bubble. And you use these tools to create these websites and apps without having much technical knowledge. And we wanted to create a platform where people can go to this school, and it's an online school, and take these courses to learn how to become a website builder without having that much technical knowledge. And to do so, we needed to really rely on data, because as much as I know, that was kind of the first online initiative in North Africa to start this kind of initiative of no-code tools. So we needed to rely on data. We needed to rely on user feedback and how people felt about this kind of tools. So we conducted some research. We did some initial feedback from potential clients. We called them even by phone to identify their feelings about this kind of tools and how they can use it to build these platforms. And afterwards, we used this kind of data to build our school or build our courses and tailor how it looks like. So the second option or the second section here is going to be talking about agile and data-driven product ownership. And this is something a bit more technical. If someone here is potentially looking into becoming a product owner, you might want to explore this kind of subject more in detail. So I'm going to talk about the kind of area that I'm an expert in, or I use personally, which is Agile, and how data-driven product ownership works. So a bit of an overview of what is Agile methodologies. So from a product owner perspective, you play a pivotal role in Agile methodology. Agile is characterized by its iterative and incremental approaches, which means that you work in steps with your team to build your product, which aligns closely with data-driven decision-making. So Agile flexibility and adaptability resonates with your role, and it allows you to rapidly adjust to changing requirements and customer feedback. And this aligns with your role as a product owner, where data guides feature prioritization and roadmap adjustments. As a project manager, Agile represents departure from the traditional rigid project management methods, such as maybe Scrum or Kanban, which uses a more rigid methodologies and how it operates. So from back in the days, we used to use a more rigid methodologies, especially in technical or development work. So teams used to have to stick to a set amount of time. They used to have to take a set amount of steps or processes to achieve the end goal. But with Agile, it's more flexible. So you can really fill it out and see if something isn't working out. You can always go back and modify it to become successful. So Agile in project management places a strong emphasis on collaboration, customer feedback, and delivering value incrementally. Agile's focus on short iterations, which are known as sprints, and sprints can be as long as maybe a month and short as maybe a week, but the set amount, or you could say the set amount in the industry is 15 days. And these sprints facilitate regular data collection and analysis. This data informs project adjustments, ensuring that the project objectives remain in sync with the customer needs. Perfect. Now we're going to be talking about the role of a product owner in Agile. From a product ownership perspective, your role as a product owner in an Agile team is pivotal. So you act as the conduit or the link between the development team and the stakeholders, or the technical and non-technical side, which is responsible for defining and prioritizing features. Data-driven decision-making forms the core of your role. So you employ this data to prioritize your product backlog and ensuring that the most impactful features are addressed first. So you use the data to fine-tune your backlog, and the most important features or products are always pushed back to the front of your sprint based on the data. In a project management perspective, in Agile project management, the product owner is a significant stakeholder, so your data-driven decisions influence the project timeline and resource allocation. Your collaboration with the development team and regular feedback loops guarantee that the project stays aligned with your customers' expectations and the business objectives. Perfect. This one is something I'm really excited to present, which is how to use your data to prioritize features. Like I mentioned, some people really go with guts when they try to plan a project, especially maybe you're a startup founder and you have this idea in mind and you think, okay, I'm going to design something that I like personally, and I'm sure that there's someone out there that's going to like it or that's having the same issue, and it's going to work out perfectly. But in most cases, it's not. You really need your data to learn how to build this product, or how to navigate your way throughout your building process, especially if you're building something technical and detail heavy oriented. So using data to prioritize features. From a product owner perspective, data plays a critical role in your feature prioritization process. You consider criteria like user feedback, customer pain points, and data on feature usage. From a project management perspective, features prioritization directly impacts project planning. Features at the top of the backlog are addressed first, like we mentioned. Agile project management accommodates changing priorities based on data. So if lower priority features become more critical, the project can quickly adapt to address them. And this is where Agile comes into mind, because like I mentioned back in the day, you could use Scrum and you could have a problem, but you have to wait until the end of your sprint to address it, or your next sprint. But with Agile, you can quickly move up the pain point or the problem to the front of your backlog and address that first. Okay, here I'm going to talk about something that's really, really important in your job, whether you're a project manager or a product owner or someone who's trying to be one, which is knowing how to create clear communication lines between yourself, your technical team, and your stakeholders. And by doing so, you can do some scope management. Scope management here refers to scope creep. So maybe you can have some ideas that come up while you're building your product. And in a sprint, not to complicate things, in a sprint you have a points system. So maybe you allocate some points to a feature, and then comes the next feature, and you can allocate some points to that. By the end of your sprint or your planning, you realize that you're maybe 40 points over your allowed limit, which is not good, and it can overwhelm your technical team, and it can overwhelm you as a main stakeholder in the process, and it can really annoy your stakeholders and management. From a product ownership perspective, effective communication is paramount in Agile teams. As a product owner, you need to clearly convey the vision, the goals, and priorities of the product to the development team and stakeholders. Data-driven decisions often require clear communication of the insights derived from the data, and you must ensure that the team understands the rationale behind your decisions. It's really important to communicate with your technical team. You need to treat them as your equals in the process as a project manager or a product owner, because they are building the product themselves. So you need to create a tunnel view with them when it comes to communication. Each decisions that's going to be made needs to be agreed upon with the team. It needs to be agreed that it's not going to create some technical debt. It needs to be agreed that it's not something that's too crazy to achieve. You know, you can have your stakeholder. So here I'm referring to the management. They can come in the middle of sprint, and they can demand some crazy new feature in your app. But your stakeholders, the colleagues, the technical team, are telling you, no, it can't be achieved in the set amount of time, in the set amount of budget. So here you need to be making data-driven decisions, which is weighing the risk and the time and the gain that you can that will be gained if you make that decision. From a project management perspective, communication is a key in project management. So project managers must facilitate communication between team members, stakeholders, and other project participants. Data can be a powerful tool for communication. Visualization data or project data through charts or dashboards can help convey complex information in a digestible format for various stakeholders. The next point is something I talked about previously, which is scope creep. I think I explained what scope creep is. In a product ownership perspective, scope creep is the uncontrolled expansion of the project scope. So your project can start off as something small, as much as adding one small button to your website or app, and it can expand to adding a whole new database. This scope creep can be detrimental to the product development process, and here I want to explain that the data-driven decisions are essential in preventing and managing scope creep. Data can be used to assess the impact of scope changes on project timelines and resources by presenting data-backed insights. You can make informed decisions about whether to accept and reject scope changes. Like we mentioned, you need to be realistic about what you can achieve with your technical team. In a project management perspective, managing scope creep is a critical aspect of project management. Scope changes can disrupt project schedules and budgets. So you need to stress the importance of data and scope management. Data can help project managers evaluate the potential consequences of a scope creep. So here, this is something that's very, very, very important to understand, which is how to mitigate risk with data-driven approaches. So as a product owner or project managers, you might run into some risks with your product development process. You need to understand how to, having some risks is something that's inevitable. It needs to happen. If not this project, your current project, it will happen with the next one, because risk is something that's real in life, But knowing how to mitigate it and how to make the effect of it less on your project is very important. So the first step in doing so is identifying project risks. In product ownership perspective, data-driven approaches play a pivotal role in identifying potential risks. Data can also reveal patterns and trends that might indicate impending issues. Like we mentioned, you make some market research on your potential, maybe your potential pain points, your potential competitors and stuff, and you can discover some impending issues. Like someone did create an alternative to TikTok, but the problem was that the content isn't as shared as much in it, that people from the region aren't as interested in a TikTok competitor as much as you thought, or something of the sort. In project management perspective, data analysis is a powerful tool in uncovering potential risks. Project management tools and data analysis can help uncover risks such as resource constraints and external dependencies. The next step in mitigating risk, which is understanding or how you're going to take some strategies to combat it. In a product ownership perspective, data can inform the selection of appropriate mitigation strategies. Data-driven analysis has led to effective risk mitigation strategies, like we mentioned. In project management perspective, it's almost the same thing. So data-driven insights guides the selection of risk mitigation strategies, and it can indicate the potential resource bottlenecks, leading to data-driven relocation. So here, I always like to refer back to a case study and how we apply the concept to something that's real, like a real-life project. From a product ownership perspective, here I'm going to talk about a project that I executed in my company, DrackUp, the no-code company. So, say for example, this is more of like a mock-up project that we work on. So we can say in the current company, DrackUp, we were working on a mobile app for task management. We observed a gradual decline in user engagement and retention rates. So we built the product, we launched the product, and then we sat down and tried to pay attention to what worked and what did not. So we noticed instantly that there's a gradual decline in user engagement and retention rates. We were gathering customers. We were having big numbers when it comes to login and signing up, but we were not captivating the attention of these customers. The next step was looking at the data that we have. So referring back to the data that we already collected and collecting some new data. We analyzed user behavior data, which included app usage patterns, time spent on specific features, and user feedback to identify the pain points that customers were having. And then we made the decision to have some data-driven insights. So our analysis revealed that the users were dropping it after a few days of app usage. primarily because they found task categorization confusing. So an aspect of the app was confusing. They didn't know how to operate it, and therefore they dropped the app completely. And as a result, in post-implementation, we saw a significant increase in user engagement. We skipped a step. So afterwards, you gather your data, you make your insights, and then you have an action based on the data that you have gathered. Based on this data, we decided to revamp the task categorization system. We introduced a more initiative and user-friendly categorization feature. And as a result, in post-implementation, we saw a significant increase in user engagement and retention, and user feedback indicated improved satisfaction, and our data showed that the users were now using the app for more extended periods of time, which is a good thing. So here, as you can see, this was more in a product owner view. So those were the actions I would have taken as a product owner. I would have sat down, made some notes, observed the situation, gather some feedback and data, so communicate with my customers, whether via tools that are tracking how the customers are using my app, or just by calling my customer and saying, hey, what's the main issue that you have with the app? What's something that I can fix to make you stay more? And use that action or that data to make a data-driven decision, which is an action. And after implementation, you will notice the results. But from a project management perspective, this data-driven decision had a profound impact. It resulted in unexpected scope change. We use data to assess the potential impact of the scope change on the project timeline and resources. We implemented some flexible project planning. So thanks to Agile project management, we were able to adapt swiftly to this change. We relocated resources and adjusted the sprint plans to accommodate the scope change. So because we had to implement or modify the categorization in the app, we just added some time to our sprints. We added some time to our technical team so they can work on this new feature and modify it. And then we released it. Afterwards, we had a positive project outcome. The project remained on track. We delivered a significantly improved product that resonated with users. This was my presentation. If you have any questions, make sure to leave them down in the community, or I think we have like a chat that you can ask on. I tried to keep this as brief as possible. The data world is as complicated as you make it. You can go and branch into each one of the titles I talked about, such as the types of data that you use as a product owner, how you can use that data to build your products, and such on. And I would say, even though it seems like an intimidating process or field, it's really not. I made the transition from a journal. Sorry, I have the sun in my eye. Okay, so like I mentioned, it can seem a bit daunting and intimidating for someone who's not very technical to transition into this kind of field of product ownership and project management. But like I said, I was a journalist back in the day. I took notice and interest in the tech world, and I kept thinking to myself, maybe I don't have what it takes to break into tech, because I don't know, I'm not good with math. I wasn't good with science. I wasn't good with like technical subjects. But what I did was really, you could take paper and pencil and write down all of the skills that you can use in your tech career. So maybe you say you're good with communication, you're someone. You can take all of those qualities and transfer them over to the tech world.
Thank you so much, Wafa. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. If you do have questions, do write them on the chat.
Mm-hmm.
She'll be glad to answer your questions. I did learn a few things. So I found out that today on your teaching, I found out that the to make the best decision, you have to make key
Mm-hmm.
data-driven
Yeah.
decisions, right? And that gives a competitive edge, right? And
Mm-hmm.
makes our product customer-centric. Thank you
Yeah,
so
of
much.
course. Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I think when I was trying to choose the topic for today, I was thinking about, product ownership is very vast. It's very broad. You can really like pinpoint many, many aspects of it. And I was thinking of something that can be applied to your real life. We all make decisions day by day. You make them from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed. And as you make your decisions, it's very important to make them based on data. Um, Even though subconsciously we don't realize it, but data is something that operates our daily lives. We all make decisions based on data, based on external factors. So I know that the subject today was a bit technical, but it's all like concepts that you can apply in your daily life. How you make your decisions should be based on data, should be based on your external factors, and you should be also thinking about how they're going to be affecting you long term, not thinking about the
Yes,
current moment, but how it's going to be affecting you in the future.
of course. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, thank you everyone for viewing. Do keep in touch with us on all our various platforms as Architectum. To have a wonderful evening. Bye.
Okay, goodbye.